Hey guys, I missed you all so much. I'm so sorry I have been away for so long. I was dealing with some stuff personally, but I do have some news, and that is Bird Secrets is officially out. My first horror book is officially out, and I'm so much in shock at some points, and at some points I'm very happy, mainly in shock that I have my second book in the past year published. It's overwhelming, and it's so like heartwarming to see that my childhood dream is coming true. But we're not going to be talking about books today. We're going to be talking about one of my personal favorite series of all time. And since it's not season 2 is not coming out until 2026, we're going to do a full spoiler video of episode 1 of All of Us Are Dead. And I am so excited. So let's get into it. Episode 1 starts out with this group of kids on top of this roof. It's the middle of the night, it's pouring down rain, and we see that all these kids are bullies, and they're bullying this kid named Jinsu. Now, Jinsu tried to himself, but in his note, he had mentioned this group of kids, especially the main leader of it, which I don't remember his name because he's a weasel and he's a piece of shit. And they start beating him up, and the bully's like, "Why would you tell on me? Why would you do that?" Like, bro, what do you mean? Anyway, so this one character, his name is Guinam, starts beating up Jinsu. And as Jinsu's hitting the ground, he starts to get angry. And we see him starting to like contort. And we can see his face is like, his mouth is abnormally long. And he looks so scary. So then he starts fighting back all these kids. And bid you mind, all these guys are trying to fight him. And he is holding off every single one of them. Like, good for you, Jinsu. I'm proud of you, okay? Now, we see a scene where Jinsu runs towards Guinam and he moves out of the way and he is launched off of the building. He hits a sign and then hits the ground. And then everyone's like, oh shit, we killed somebody. But Jinsu is not dead because we then see him in the hospital where his father, his name is Professor Lee, and he is the science teacher at Hosan High School. And we see that they get into this argument, and as Jinsu gets more angry, he starts to contort again. And he is so freaking scary. He starts like making these noises. He's not able to form words. So his father's like, I'm sorry, grabs a Bible and starts knocking him out, beating him. And then we cut to his father in a parking lot, or a parking garage, I want to say, with Jinsu stuffed in a suitcase. And as he's pulling it, Jinsu starts moving in the bag. His father gets down, takes his pulse, and as he takes his pulse, Jinsu grabs him. And then we cut to the next scene. The next scene we see is all these kids at Hosan High School, and they're cleaning up the school for the end of the day. Teachers are leaving, and we can see that, you know, they're all laughing, they're having fun. We do meet a couple of our main characters, but we're not going to meet them in full until a little later on. So all these kids are getting everything cleaned, and they're all laughing, having fun, and you can see that they just enjoy being around their friends in their high school. And as we see them dwindling down and leaving, this one boy, I don't know his name, we didn't really get his name, says, hey, shouldn't we, wake up Hongju? And we see this girl sleeping at one of the tables, and they don't wake her up and they leave. Now, this girl actually was one of the bullies that we saw on top of the roof and as they were attacking Jinsu, but she didn't do anything. She just stood there and was like, guys, stop, like, this is ridiculous, like, whatever. So Hongju goes walking down the hallway to leave, and she starts hearing this like clattering noise from the science lab. So being the dumb bitch that she is, walks in and she finds this like hamster in this tank. Okay, it's like a big plastic tank. And she, being again a dumb bitch, sticks her finger in it, and the mouse starts to contort and he gets angry, and she's just sticking her finger in there and it bites her. And as she stands up, there's blood on the ground, and she runs into none other than Mr. Lee, the science teacher. The one that we saw is Jinsu's father. And he goes, well, what's wrong? And she goes, nothing, it bit me, I'm pissed. And as she's walking out of the science lab, Mr. Lee grabs her and pulls her back in, and we have no idea what happens to her till a couple scenes later. The next scene is actually earlier in the day, so we know that Hongju gets kidnapped later on in the day. But this is like the new start of the day and the kids are leaving their morning classes to go get dinner before heading back. So this is where we meet some of our main characters. There's Anjo, Chung-sun, Isak, and Young-soo. And Young-soo, I love him so much. He is so funny. Him and Chung-sun remind me so much of me and my best friends, you know, relationship and everything. It is the best thing ever. And we see that as Chung-sun is walking, he gets a text from his mom, and his mom says, "Grand opening, Chung-sun's chicken." And he was pissed because turns out he is named after the restaurant. His mother named him after her chicken restaurant, and he doesn't like that because his face is all over it. And as they're talking about like this grand like opening of it, and Anjo comes over, knocks into him, and she calls him Gopher because they play rock, paper, scissors every morning, and he lost, so now he has to carry her backpack. Cute scene. I love them so much. But the thing is, as they're at the restaurant, they start talking about Mr. Lee, the science teacher. And the science teacher, they're saying, "Oh yeah, Nayeon said that he smells like a rotting corpse." And Chung-sun's like, "How would she know what that smells like?" And as they're bickering back and forth, we meet Chung-sun's mother. Chung-sun's mother reminds me so much of that boy mom that is literally obsessed with her son. And she makes a comment about Anjo. And she goes, "Yeah, well, Anjo eats a lot." And Anjo goes, "I don't eat a lot, I eat well." And like, I'm like, Anjo is my sweet little baby. I would have punt this woman. All right. I know she's just in love with her little boy and all that, but I don't care. I would have punted this woman if she said that to my friend. Now, I am a huge stan when it comes to Anjo and Chung-sun. I love them so much. I am so attached to these characters, and we'll find out how that makes me cry towards the end of everything, but we're not there yet. So we see this scene, okay, and Anjo takes down her hair because her hair is always up, and she looks at Chung-sun and she goes, "Which side is better? This one or this one?" And Chung-sun's just looking at her with all the love in the world. I love this scene so much. It breaks my heart, okay? I want a love that is like Chung-sun and Anjo's so much. And he's like, dude, he's like trying to like make himself not look as obvious, and he's like, "I really don't care." And as he turns around, Anjo, being the short queen that she is, kicks him in the back of the leg to make him shorter. Queen. I love her. The next morning we see Anjo getting ready for school, and we meet her father, which his name is Sujo, and we learn that Anjo's mother is not in the picture. We don't know if she passed away. We don't know if she left. We don't know anything. We just know that it's just Anjo and her father. And Chung-sun lives next door. And you can tell that her and her dad have that type of relationship of they don't show much emotion towards each other, but they do care about one another. And Chung-sun rings the doorbell. Anjo goes out. And this is where they do their iconic rock, paper, scissors battle. Every morning they do this. It is so cute. They've done this for 14 years. And Anjo ends up losing, and as Chung-sun's celebrating, she starts running towards the elevator. But Chung-sun is fast as hell, and he beats her downstairs, puts his bag on her arm, and says, "Let's go, Gopher." And she kicks him again. I love when she kicks him. I think it is so cute. We see all the kids heading to school, and then we see all the other characters of this group, which is Nayeon, and you can tell that she is like this spoiled rich girl. She thinks that she really does not like Young-soo, and we'll see that in further episodes, how she just despises him just because he lives in lower incoming housing than she does. So as they're running through and everything, we then meet Namra, and you can tell that Nayeon's trying to befriend Namra because she is the class president, but Namra's got her headphones in and she's like, "I don't want to talk to any of you." And she's walking, and we meet her. Obviously, she's my queen. I love her so much. Then we meet Jimin, and Jimin is dropped off by her parents. We can see all the kids running into school because they don't want to be late. And then we meet Soo-yuk. Now, Soo-yuk is my sweet, sweet soul. I love him. And you can tell that he's a very protective person, but he actually used to try to run with the bullies. And we see that when he watches that same group of bullies take one girl and one guy into this construction area. And I don't know the guy's name. I don't think we even really know his name. But the girl's name is Eunji. And Eunji, I think she's a girl boss throughout this. But anyway, I really like this part. They do address an issue that actually goes on in Korea and Japan and everything. And that is these high school boys basically force these girls to strip down and take videos of them and threaten to send them to their parents and out to the world to basically disown them. And they won't do that unless you do what they ask. And I think that is so trashy and pieces of garbage. And they are all pieces of garbage, okay? All of these men in this bully group are pieces of garbage, okay? Hot garbage, not hot garbage, okay? Burning hell garbage. Anyway, I got on my little rant there, sorry. So we then see Soo-yuk walk in and he's like, no, not happening. And that's when it's revealed that he actually tried to go with that crew, but he had a change of heart. So he picks up Eunji and he grabs the guy. And before they can walk out, Guinam, this piece of shit, then says, well, how about I send this to your mom? You look hot in it. I'm friends with her on Facebook. And then his friend calls him out and says, who the hell is friends with an old lady on Facebook? I was like, that made me chuckle a little bit. I'm not going to lie. So then they go back and Soo-yuk is like, well, fine. Like, what the fuck? And walks back where he sees Onjo. They run into each other. And you can tell Onjo has a little thing for Soo-yuk. And she says hi to him and he's just like, hey. So then she chases him up the stairs and she says, hey, meet me on the roof after lunch. And he goes, I don't want to fight. I don't fight anymore. And she goes, do you really think I could beat you in a fight? And she goes, I just have to tell you something. Meet me on the roof. And as she's walking up the stairs, she falls on the top step. If this girl ain't me, I don't know what, okay? She is a cute little girl. I love her so much. But yeah, she tells Soo-yuk to meet her on the roof after lunch because she has to tell him something. And we know that as she's going to confess her feelings to him. Forget about Hunju because I sure freaking didn't. And that's when it's revealed in their class that they're all in is that Miss Park, their teacher, asks, has anyone seen Hunju? And they're like, no. And so then she's like, okay, well, I need to go talk about something. And as she's gone, we see this bitch Nayeon going, you're disgusting, get off my desk. Because Youngsu is sitting towards her desk and she says, get off your desk, you stink, get away from me. I hate her so much. And so he then gets aggressive towards her and Chung-sun pulls him back and he's like, what the fuck did I do? Like, yeah, I hate this bitch. I love Youngsu and I hope that he deserves everything in the world, but Nayeon does not. So basically Miss Park and Mr. Lee are talking and she goes like, hey, one of my students hasn't been here since yesterday. No one's heard from her and they were cleaning the science lab and have you seen her? And he goes, no, I told you that. She's not here. Real sketchy shit, okay? And as she hears clattering in the supply closet, he goes, yeah, that's the animals in the closet. They're like our science experiments. And she goes, okay, and she walks out. But he walks into the supply room, and we see that he has Hongju tied up with zip ties, and she's already, like, her eyes are all red, and they're expanded. I love this, that they chose this with the makeup. Her one eye is, like, sunken in. Loved it so much, but her mouth is taped. Her legs are bending in weird ways, and he opens up his laptop, and he's, like, day whatever of the infection, and he takes a needle of diazepam. Don't know where he got that, but he injects her with it, and all he says is, don't try to fight it. You're not going to survive this. Imagine being a teenage girl that all you were doing was going into the science lab and your teacher just chains you up and he says, don't bother trying. Excuse me? It doesn't last long because we see Hongju break out of her zip ties and start running down the hallway. Now, the thing about Hongju is that she can still speak. We can tell the infection is very slowed down due to the diazepam that Mr. Lee gave her. But before she enters the classroom, we see this one girl named Hisu stand up in class and she just says, I have to go to the nurse. And so she goes to the nurse and we can see she's clutching her stomach and she's just so upset. And we'll find out later on. Her storyline is so sad in my opinion, but we'll save that for another video. So then we see Hongju come into the classroom completely bloody. She's she's moving weird, and she collapses. So Miss Park, Suyuk, Isak, and Anjo take her to the nurse, and Suyuk has her on his back, and we can see that her mouth is like moving towards his neck. And you think that he's gonna get bitten, but he doesn't. And we see that Hisu is now at the nurse's office, and all she says is, "What do I do?" before the others burst in. And this is like complete fucking chaos because they're trying to hold Hongju down, and her temperature is completely low, like hypothermia. I almost said Fahrenheit. Hypothermia state of body temperature, and she is thrashing around. She's trying to bite everybody, and we do see that as Anjo's arm is right there, she goes to bite her, and she gets a small scratch across her wrist. So keep that in mind for later episodes because that's never explained. But in retrospect, we do learn that Hongju bit the nurse while she was trying to hold her down. And we don't know that until we see the nurse putting in a temperature gauge, and it's saying her body temperature is lowering, and she starts to contort. We know that Anjo's getting patched up, and her father is there just because he is the chief of the fire station and rescue station. So as she's getting bandaged up, Isak returns to the classroom where all the kids are gossiping, and Chungsun's like, well, where's Anjo? And she goes, oh, Anjo got hurt, so she's just getting patched up. So Chungsun runs out of the classroom, and as we are waiting for Chungsun to, find Anjo, we see Anjo and Suyuk walking up the stairs towards class. And Suyuk is like, hey, you wanted to talk to me, but I have plans after school, like after lunch. And she goes, okay. So she stands in front of him, her hair is now down, and she just hands him her name tag. Now, this was actually a thing in like the late 1900s and early 2000s where if you gave someone your name tag, it means that you are confessing that you have feelings for them, which I think is super adorable in my opinion. And Suyuk is like, this means you want to go out with me. And he goes, aren't you dating Chungsun? And she goes, no. And so Suyuk knows. Suyuk knows that there's something between them, but it's not like official. Anjo sees them more as friends. And so Chungsun comes and ruins it right in the middle before Suyuk can say anything else. Anjo leaves because Chungsun's like, oh my god, are you okay? Does it hurt? Are you okay? Like, come on, man. Can't someone do that for me? But as Anjo leaves, Suyuk still has her name tag in his hand. And he goes, aren't you dating Anjo? And he goes, no. If it was me, her, and a zombie, I'd pick the zombie. And Suyuk puts the name tag in his pocket, and he's like, yeah, sure. And they walk, talking about lunch. And then we cut to the lunchroom, where all the hellish chaos starts. Lunchroom, before we see everything happen, we get a scene of Isak and Anjo. And Anjo is like, I need to tell you something. And Isak is like, well, tell me. And Anjo's very hesitant at first because she kind of got rejected by Suyuk, and Isak takes this time to say, you slept with Chungsun, didn't you? And Anjo's like, no. And she goes, I told Suyuk I like him. And this is, again, the best friendship dynamic I've ever seen in a show. Isak stands up in the middle of the crowded cafeteria, and she goes, what? And everyone looks at her, and Anjo pulls her back down, and they're gossiping. It's such a cute scene, and we see that Suyuk and Chungsun and Youngsu are all sitting together, so obviously they're a group of friends. So Isak is like, well, why don't you ask Chungsun, because Chungsun's friends with him. So that's what Anjo does. She goes up and she asks Chungsun, and he's like, we're not friends. And she goes, you literally just said you were friends. So they start kind of bickering back and forth, and that's when it's revealed that Anjo confessed to Suyuk, and Chungsun looks so numb and upset, and it hurts my heart. It hurts my heart. It really does. Then we cut back to the nurse, and the nurse, we can see her door is wide open, her shoes are everywhere, and two of the bullies, the one main guy, the weasel looking one, and another guy, I call him Blue Jacket because I don't know his name, and they're walking down the hall, and they see that she's just standing there. Like, she's creepily standing there, and they're like, she's drunk, let's take a video of her. So they start videoing her, and the nurse turns around, charges at the guy in the blue shirt, tackles him against a window, and bites a chunk of his face off. girl power moment because he deserved it. But she takes a giant chunk out of his face, and the leader starts running, and then we see blue shirts start to contort. So this is zombie number 3 because Hanju's at the hospital, the nurse, and now blue shirt. So now we know that it's going to start to spread. Also learned that Suyuk has a thing for Namra, and I think this is so cute. I forgot to mention it last clip, but basically, Namra keeps to herself. She always has her headphones in and she's always studying. And Suyuk tries this really lame way to flirt with her, and he's like, oh yeah, those will hurt your ears. And she goes, I know. And walks away from him. She is a bad bitch, okay? I love her. But we see that kind of same dynamic a little later on in the episode because Suyuk truly does like Namra, and I love that. Like, they are so cute together. They are the best. But we'll get to that in a second. But we see that another side story is Eunji is standing on the roof of the school, and the random boy that I don't know his name comes running up, and because she's standing on the ledge and she's just looking over the field, all these kids are laughing, and she's just done with it. And she's like, they're gonna send the video to my mom. And he goes, no, I'll make sure they don't. And he starts crying, and she looks at him, she goes, why are you crying? Do you like me or something? And he goes silent, and she goes, huh. You want to know what's worse than 2 losers getting together? Because when 2 losers get together, they become lamer. Girl, you're standing on the edge of something right now. Okay, stop. This is not the time to be insulting people. So we then see her step onto the ledge, like towards the ledge more. And just as she's about to take her last step, the windows start breaking because zombies are coming out of them from tackling people. There are zombies flying out of every single window in this school. It's a really cool scene in my opinion because I really like the idea of the zombies are just charging at people. They don't give 2 fucks. They're like, let's go, because that's not gonna hurt them. They're dead already. And then once the zombies are outside and they start chasing everyone, they start making their way to the lunchroom where there are hundreds of students eating their lunch and completely defensive. So we see that all these kids are like pounding on the glass, and all these zombies come up and they're biting everybody and they crash through and they start just obliterating everyone. I'm talking there's zombies everywhere. People are getting bit everywhere. And then we cut to Namra and Suyuk, and Namra's just headphones in, reading, people are running by her, zombies are coming towards her, and she's like, whatever. So Suyuk grabs her and they start running, but we don't see where they go until the next episode. So then we cut back to the lunchroom, and we can see that since all these crowds of people are coming through, one of them knocks Anjo to the ground, and as Chungsun tries to go to her, he gets knocked to the ground. So Anjo's sitting there in fear, and one of the zombies looks up at her, and she's just sitting there because she's frozen in fear. And it starts running at her. It trips on somebody, falls to the ground, and then it starts crawling to her. And he gets in her face, and the episode ends. That's how it ends. That's how episode 1 ended. And that's when I knew I was really gonna love this series. And some of my favorite clips of the entire thing, I like how we've met all the characters, especially Nayeon. You will know I hate her so much. I actually did a TikTok of most hated characters that actually deserved what came to them, and she was like number 3 on my list. So that's what I really like about it, is that you develop emotional feelings towards these characters as if they were real people. And I thought it was so fun. I like all the little scenes and everything because it's like a K-drama, but at the same time, it's a horror series, which we get that like comedic relief dynamic. We get to know the characters, and then we get to see how everything just falls apart. And I liked the idea of how the disease spreads because we don't know why Mr. Lee had that hamster in the first place. And if only Hongju didn't walk into the science lab, no one would have ever known, because we now know she is patient 0 and she is on her way to the hospital that is full of more people to infect. I cannot wait to talk about episode 2 with you guys because it's personally one of my favorite episodes. And yeah, I'm so excited. I love All of Us Are Dead so much, and I want season 2 now. Like now. I want it now. It was supposed to come out in 2025. I was patient, and now they changed it to 2026. heartbroken. We'll always be heartbroken. But the thing is, it's just the idea of, I love anime, K-dramas, everything, and I have never been this attached to a K-drama horror. I love horror, and I have my list of favorite horror movies, but horror TV shows, this one's right at the top with The Haunting of Hill House. I thought The Haunting of Hill House was beautifully done, and in my opinion, this one, All of Us Are Dead, is like elite status like The Haunting of Hill House. So, what did you guys think? Did you like the spoiler episode? Have you watched the series? Because in my opinion, if you haven't, you should, especially if you like zombies, if you want to get into horror. It's actually really, really cool to see how, zombies have been done all over, like different ways that they become zombies, but in my opinion, the zombies in this one is so frightening. But yeah, you can watch it on Netflix. I am definitely going to be doing an episode 2 because I was writing notes and everything about this because I love this show so much and I want to share that with you guys. Anyway, guys, I love you so much. It is so great to be back, and I will see you guys in the next one.